Hello, this is Steve at greenfuelh2o.com. We're back with another video on the hydrogen compression series. The last video I showed the hydro tube in the tanks and showed that we were compressing it into this 100-gallon tank here. If you want to go back and look at that, I'll put a link in the description. Today what we're going to do is we're going to test the purity of the hydrogen we've stored in here. So let me show you what we've got. So here's the hydro tube and then the tanks, and you can see that we've got about 12 psi, and that's running into this 100-gallon tank here. And in the last video I mentioned that we need to make sure there's no air in this tank, because if you're over 4% oxygen content you could be in big trouble, be explosion hazard. So we need to keep our hydrogen content as pure as 96% or higher. So I was thinking of ways to get the air out of here, and it occurred to me that the compressor that I'm going to be using to compress the hydrogen into a smaller tank at a higher psi, I could also run it backwards and use it as a vacuum pump. So what I did is I hooked up, this is the intake, I hooked the intake up to my tank here and I pulled all the air out. And after I was done with that, I hooked the generation system to it and I slowly filled the tank back up with only hydrogen. And we're going to see if that is true. We're going to test the purity with this analyzer here. Right now it's heating up, so it takes 45 minutes to heat up before you can test anything. And I'll go ahead and hook this hose through our big bubbler over here and our series of dryers, and then that'll go through the analyzer and we'll see what kind of purity we have. But first up, I'm going to change my desiccant beads here, because we want a nice dry gas so that the analyzer can test the purity accurately. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and set up for the test, and I'll be right back. Alright, went ahead and I recharged the desiccant and replaced the beads there. And what we're going to do, let's see that the machine's warmed up, it's ready to read. So what I've done is I've taken the tube off the top here, connected it here, and that is connected to the tank. What it does is it comes up through this green hose and it comes down into the bottom of the bubbler. It's going to bubble up through our bubbler here, come out that fitting, and go into our set of dryers. Through the dryers, comes out here, and then we have it running through a flow meter, which we're not going to use today. Comes out of the flow meter, runs across there, down, and into this fitting right here, and this fitting goes into the back of the machine. Okay, let's go ahead and turn on the hydrogen and see what we get. I've already got my ball valve. I think that'll preset. There's the hydrogen flowing, and we'll show the meter. Looks like we still have some oxygen in there. We're just shy of 96% pure. As you can see, we're running a lot of hydrogen through it. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drain out the rest of the hydrogen in our tank. I'm going to vacuum it down again and fill it up, and then I'll come back. So right now I'm pulling everything out of the tank. I'll keep pulling it out until it doesn't build any pressure anymore. So this is the intake of the compressor. So I put the intake to our tank, and it's pulling everything out of the tank. I use this propane tank to heat my shop with, and when I started with it, it was empty. I pretty much let out whatever propane was left, which wasn't much, and then that's when I started using it for hydrogen. There's still a smell, a slight smell of propane coming off of this air that I'm pulling out. So that little bit of mixture of propane and the hydrogen might have been throwing the analyzer off. So I'm going to try and get the rest of that smell out of the tank. I probably should have started with a new tank, but I thought I'd use what I had. It'll take at least an hour, hour and a half to fill the tank back up with hydrogen. I'll try and get it back up to about 10 to 15 psi, and we'll come back and we'll test it again. Alright, we're back. We ran it back up to about 12 psi. Hooked it back up to the analyzer. See back in the background. Making the gas there. So we run it through and usually let it run for quite a while, because in between hooking everything up and all that, air gets into the system. So we want to make sure we push out all the oxygen out of the system. So we run it for a while, clear all that out, and we'll see what our highest reading will be. I'm actually encouraged that it keeps going up. Starting to slow down now. While that's going, I want to let you know what we're going to do in the next video. So in the next video, we're going to fill this tank up to 25 psi. That's what our system here can handle. And then we're going to compress it into this smaller tank. This is a 30-pound tank. We're going to compress it into that tank with this compressor. Now we'll pull it in here, we'll compress it from here, and we're going to compress it up as high as this will go, about 120 psi. And then we'll test the purity of it. Want to be safe. And then what we're going to do is hook it up to a grill and see if we can use a standard propane grill to see if it'll run on hydrogen. Maybe we'll cook some hot dogs or something. Alright, looks like we're up to 97.44. Hydrogen been running for quite a while. And you can see how that's a 4-inch tube. See how much hydrogen is being released. So even at 10 psi, we've got quite a bit of hydrogen in that tank. I'd be thrilled if it got above 98. A little bit of moisture in the hydrogen will make the it analyze a little low. But I just replaced the desiccant in my filter, so we should be fine. So we have made it up to 97 point, almost 97.8. If you have any questions, please leave them below. I'll try and answer everyone's questions and comments. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We'll be making more videos on this subject, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.